I was working on the 11 o'clock news that night. The phone rang, and this man was on the phone, and he said he just watched a television report on the killing fields in Cambodia, and it disturbed him greatly.
It was like God was saying, Ron, I want you to get up out of your chair and help them.
And so he's asking me what he can do, and I said, well, why don't you call a news conference?
After the news conference, one of the reporters says, Ron, you might want to get some phones ready because we're going to put a number on the screen for people to call. And we raised $250,000, and we had 27 medical people in the air in 2 weeks.
This is a miracle, God.
It was amazing how many doctors and nurses throughout the Northwest responded, and that was the beginning.
We were responding to maybe 4 or 5 major disasters every year, sending out volunteer teams. When they arrived in the places where they were, it was often very difficult. Their circumstances were very difficult, but they came with open hearts and with faith, and God used them to touch lives. What we saw was a tremendous increase in the number of volunteer teams, almost a 3 or 4 time increase. We saw the same kind of increase in the shipments that we sent out, and we saw our mobile dental vans go from 2 vans to 12 vans.
Everyone that's a part of this story, this team, realizes that there are people all around the world who are counting on us to get it right every day, to show up in humility and faith, bring our very best to the work we're doing in the interest of loving our neighbor well. This is something that's very central to medical team's platform, which is the charge, the second most important commandment, to love your neighbor as yourself. You know, in these days, our neighbor is our global neighbor.
And so we go where we're needed most, and it's because every person matters that we want to be there. They matter to us and they matter to God. The passion of the staff here, which emanated from the founder and I think continues on, is what keeps people going despite difficulties. There's just a passion and a commitment to respond.
But the greatest famine of our generation happened in Ethiopia. Hundreds of thousands of people died of starvation. Then there were 2 elderly ladies coming towards us. And as they got closer, I could see each one of them had a little black bucket in their hands. It didn't take long to figure out what they were coming for. They were looking for grain, for food. But for some reason, this one walked right towards me, and yet there were lots of people around. But she walked right towards me. She stood in front of me, and within maybe less than a minute, she fell to the ground. And she died. And laying just a few inches from her hand, outstretched hand, was this black bucket. And I think that God spoke to me and said, Ron, you take this message home and you tell people there are many empty buckets in our world and you need to fill them.
People are praying for a response. So our job is to be faithful and take that next step and go forward.
Whether we're on a mobile dental van or we're working in a camp in Uganda or Lebanon, we're able to offer this life-saving care with love and with compassion and truly save lives.
You realize how urgent and how intense these needs are, and admire even more the people like Ron Post and so many others who just couldn't sit at home and watch it. They had to do something. They had to show up.
And so I would encourage them to continue doing that. And always putting that hand out there, being faithful to the Lord to help whoever you can.